All right, real quick. Gotta do it.
All right, welcome to Virtuous Divas January Book Club. Y'all gonna have to give me a few seconds. I'm putting what they call the what's this called? Tripod together so I can place my phone. All right. I'm trying to set this. Okay, wait a minute. All right. I got to. There we go. Is that loosened up some? Okay, well.
Is that working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, so I'm gonna push it in right there.
I'm gonna do this right here. All right, it's working. We're just gonna wait a few seconds, and then we're going to begin our book club meeting. Once again, this is Virtuous Divas Book Club meeting. I'm by myself. I'm at another location. I'm not in Columbia, South Carolina. I am in Columbus, Ohio. And so I left my co-hosts behind. We're going to wait and see if they are getting on. Invite somebody to the Virtuous Divas Book Club. I'm at Club Carmen's. Y'all know that's my sister's. I'm at her house and we're doing the book club meeting from there. I'm going to see if I can get this to come down just a little bit more. Y'all give me a second. There we are. Hi, Prophetess Nichelle. How are you? How are you? At least one of my co-hosts has gotten on. We're going to see if the other is going to get on. I told him I left y'all behind there in South Carolina, Columbia, and now I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I told him I was at Club Carmen's. I'm here at Carmen's house doing the Virtuous Divas January Book Club. We're going to be talking about four exciting books on tonight. We didn't get a chance to do last month, so we got to include them as well on tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about A Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste NG, Ning, however you pronounce that. We're going to be talking about The Last Madam by Chris Waltz or Wiltz. We're also going to be talking about book 1 and book 2, Broken Crayon Steel Color by David Weaver. It's 4 books. I like them all. This is one time I like them all. Maybe one I sort of tried to get a real good understanding, but I read all the way through it. And invite somebody, do the replay and let somebody listen. As I went through the books, what I'm learning about myself is, even though I like different genres, I really, we always have our favorite genre, the favorite type of book that we like to read. And mine's was thrillers, psychological thrillers, anything that's a mystery, anything that I have to figure out. But I'm learning I also like a lot of autobiographies or authors who write about a person that the book is just all about them. And we're going to begin with talking about Broken Crayon Steel Color. They both were very good books to me, book 1 and book 2. I'm not going to separate the books because it's a continuous story. As I read Broken Crayon Steel Color, when I saw the title, I'm like, this is a conference in itself. When you talk about Broken Crayon Steel Color, if they may be broke, but they don't lose their color, they don't lose their use as far as being crayons. And as I began to read the book, it was, hey Kevin, how are you? Hello, CC Williams. How are you? Glad you can join us on tonight. But as I I began to read Broken Crayon Still Color. The first thing I thought, hey, this I know it's a nonfiction book, but this is a real life thing. We as people who are broken can still be used. And so as I was reading the book, and the young man that was portrayed, now his name just now escaped me, and I know his name, but he was a rapper, and as a rapper, we know a lot of things come along with fame. A lot of things come along with being very popular in the rap game. We have a lot of people that believe a lot of things about the rappers, and they feel they have an image to uphold. And this particular rapper, he felt like he had a image to uphold. He was making a whole lot of money. He was on top. Hey, Joanna, how are you? Congratulations. You get to hear my voice say congratulations on your baby girl. We thank you for joining us. But there is an image that most rappers have to have. And this particular gentleman, what is his name? I don't even have a book in front of me. He wanted to have a particular image, and in having that particular image, it got him. It got him and his life off track. Of course, we know drugs come with that. Women come with that type of popularity. And he got caught up in all that. And at the same time, it's like for those of us who may live comfortably, it's like all of a sudden a family member, they make it real big. They make it millions. And a lot of times they begin to take care of their family. They begin to, hey Brandon, how are you? They began to take care of their families. They began to put themselves in a place basically that the family put them, make them believe that they're God. He got caught up in that. He began to take care of everybody. He began to pay everybody's bills, buy everybody's house, buy everybody's cars. And he was sinking fast. And because other people were so busy on the receiving end, hey, Brandon, on the receiving end, they never paid attention that he was slowly losing his soul. It got to a point he was doing drugs so bad. And of course, along with fans, you have people that we call haters. And somebody set him up. They set him up with two women. They were all getting high. They were all doing heavy drugs. He was so gone. He took them to his home and thought they were safe. He had his way with them, and by the time that he went to his first appointment, it was all over the internet that pictures with him getting high, pictures with him was sleeping with women. It was all over the internet, and then turned around, the news began to report that the young ladies that he left in his house set his house on fire. He didn't have insurance, so he lost everything. And in losing everything, it got him in a place that he was sleeping in his car, and getting high, sleeping in his car. He was at, I believe, a restaurant. I just want to tell you the story, and then I'm gonna talk about some things. He was at a restaurant in the parking lot, sleeping in his car. Hey, Minister Michelle, burn the house down. Yes, burn the house down. What do you call it? Hollywooditis. Yes, Kevin, it's Hollywooditis. He was sleeping in his car, and he saw a young lady and her daughter hovering in the rain, trying to stay warm. She didn't have any place to go. She came from a background where the baby's father put her out. So now we have them both at the same restaurant at the same time. She was believing God for God to give them a place to lay their head, for God to get them out of the cold, get them out of the rain. He was in the car, steadily getting high, with no place to go, trying to figure it all out, how he got in that position. And he saw her, and he went to her, and even though he had nothing, he offered his car. He said, well, you all could come and get in my car. While they were in the car, a producer called. Bottom line, they end up in the studio. He does some studio work. The man gives him $5,000. And even in his state, when he comes out, he hands her $2,000 for getting him to the studio. Okay, where are you going? It's a real good. The bottom line is, when he comes out of the studio, he gets arrested. He gets arrested for murder. And she's grateful that he's helped her. She begins to pray. The whole time he was in jail, she begins to pray. And then from beginning to pray, she begins to write him. Well, we know how a story goes. You know, they come together, and she begins to pray him back to the top. That's all in book one. It's a lot of stuff. He gets to jail, and he meets his father. He didn't know at the time that it was his father. And what I love about it is that the author put that twist in. He grew up fatherless, but the author put that twist in that when he got to jail, he met his cellmate, and his cellmate was trying to give him wisdom, trying to tell him how to be a real man. He began to minister to him. It took him to go to jail to learn some things. Just like some of us, we got to get in between a rock and a hard place. We got to hit our head up against the wall a few times, bust it wide open to the white meat before we get it. And basically that's what it was for him. That's the kind of experience that it was for him, even in jail, until the light bulb came on and he began to learn what it was to be a real man. And it has nothing to do with your organ, but it has a lot to do with your mentality. And so I really enjoyed this book because it allowed me to see growth in the characters from the beginning to end, from the characters starting out as basically a drug addict and a rap star, to lose everything, to know that God can restore and give you back. And that's what he did for this young lady. That's what he did for this particular rapper. They went down to nothing, and then God orchestrated some things to get them back to a place that they were used to. But they were better people by the time that they got there. Of course, in book one, the two of them get married. When we going into book two, you see the strength of their marriage. And I really like that the relationship in this particular book was put in a positive light. We see so many things that go on with relationships. So to see a relationship between a black woman, a black man in this particular book, that it was good to see something that was positive. Now, y'all know, for those of you on my co-host, even though she is, she's watching and she's not able to sit next to me and talk, but she sure can type. So I needed to type and tell me how she feels, and I'll read it out loud. I know y'all can read it, but I'll read it for those that may not be following the scroll. But how did you really like, if broken crayon, still color? And the overall theme is that you can be broken, but you can still have some use. And we see that over and over in the pages as he met his father. Okay, what did you say? Yes, I love how he loved her and called her wife all the time. Yes, and his father taught him a lot. But I don't always go to church. I know it's like being a broken crayon. I don't think our attendance dictates whether or not we are broken. I think that our relationship with God, how we honor him, how we worship him. I think a lot of things break us in life. A lot of things cause us to be broken. In more places than one, not just spiritually, naturally broken, mentally broken. But that doesn't mean that anybody should throw you away. And that's what this book was about. That when all his family members gave up, when he couldn't pay another bill, he even began to have baby mama drama. When he couldn't give her any money, she lost her mind. He was low down. He was no good. He was trifling, and he was broke. But prior to that, he was the best thing. He was paying more than what child support was asking. He was just taking care of his daughter, plus paying all of her mama's bills. So she didn't even have any bills. All she did was just live in the house and wonder when the next check was coming. I like it because even when you are down to nothing, God is up to something in that. And just because you don't have material things don't mean that you are not useful in any capacity. And we see this in both of these books. Even though he went down to nothing, he still had the gift that God gave him to rap. She took the $2,000 and went to school. Right, his own mama wasn't really in his life, and she saw him. When he went down, it was all over the news. Y'all know, anytime a rap star does something, says something, be something other than what they say, it's all over the news. And his mother saw the news, and the only thing that she could ask him was, are you going to be able to pay the rent this month? Pay my rent this month? Yes, Brother Daryl Hines, it is a very good read. You will get a lot out of it. I just didn't read the book as natural. I saw some stuff. I saw some stuff in the spirit, and like I said, they talked about the Lord through both of these books. And once again, the central theme was, you can be broken, but you can still be used. God can still use you. She was a broken woman. She was a broken mother, but God used her to pray somebody else through. He used her to pray for somebody while he was in jail, pray about his emotions, pray about his life, pray about his drug addiction. And God honored her prayer. She prayed, God, I trust you to get me out of this circumstance. And every time that she cried out to him, God would move for her. In book 2, she began to talk about, I want to be a better wife, so that I can continue to pray my husband through. But one flaw that he had was his temper. I want to talk to the black men that is still listening. Amen. He had a temper. He treated her like a queen. He treated his children well. He got back on top. Him and his father got out of jail. What they say, he put his father on. He gave his father a job. He gave his father a job. But the one flaw that he had, because of where he was from, when somebody crossed him, when somebody did something wrong to him, he had to have revenge. He had to do something, and they had to die. Now, he was a man of God, but if you crossed him, you had to die. And he was crossed. And he was embarrassed in front of his daughter. So that's another thing. That ego, and his ego, when another young rapper, as we say, dissed him, then he felt this rapper had to go, and he told his father about it. And what happened? The father killed the young man. He killed him. But what he didn't do, because he was an old head, he didn't worry about technology, and he was caught on camera. And I thought to myself, now, you get out of jail. Now, I want to talk to y'all right here. I'm going to put a plug in what I was talking about before. You get out of jail. You've been there for a while. You know some things have changed. Yes, it was a wrong move. You know some things have changed. You get out of jail, your son give you a cell phone, you checking social media. You don't think that there's some camera somewhere in a rich man's house? I'm going to sip on that. That was a ginger ale sip. And you killing up, folk. You didn't check to see if anybody was in the house, if there were any other witnesses. You kill a man and there's a witness in the house. You kill a man and you all off on candid camera. You know it's gonna come out. Yes, his father had a prison mind. See how you can be free naturally, but in prison in your mind. He still had prison thoughts. Who don't know that it's a camera somewhere? The bottom line, it got him in trouble. He met a young lady. Come on, I want to talk to y'all again. She was very pretty. She was rapper Black Barbie. I want to talk to y'all again. She was pretty. Y'all get so twisted up on a pretty face that he couldn't see her demons and that she was addicted too. She was addicted on crack, but she was too pretty for him to care. and she drug him straight down. By the time they arrested him, he was doing crack. Okay, come on, Minister Nichelle, say something to me. He never thought that he had to kill that man for his son. You right about it. You know, men, pretty faces, pretty. What? Everything that glitter is not gold. She was so pretty and she rapped very well, but she was out there. Yeah, black crackhead Barbie. You so wrong for that, Minister Nichelle. She was on crack, and he saw she was on drugs. He knew she would be high, and he thought that he could get her off. But the bottom line, let's get to the plot, to the twist. The bottom line was the police sent her after him, and she's the one who turned him in. It was when his son called and told him, "Hey, do you know that you on camera, that they know who you are?" And he was apologizing, saying that he was going to fix it. How are you going to fix that? Yes, she drug him so down that she told on him. Yeah. And he wasn't doing crack at the time that he met her. He wasn't doing drugs at all. So to meet her, and you meet her and you know she's high, you know she's on something, you know she's doing drugs, and you see how she reacts. Well, thank you, Kevin. No, I don't think she's this cute. But you meet her and she's on drugs, and you think that you can save her. But how can you save her and your mind is in prison? I'm telling you, these two books are good books. What the author David Weaver did was he based some things around his life. And Brother Darrell, if you read the book, you will see it. The intro and at the end of the book, when it says about the author, he really begins to tell his story. And he wrote a book around his story. But these two books were awesome books. I really, really enjoyed them. They were a fast read for me. I learned a lot. I learned that no matter what I was going through, no matter what place or what stage in my life that I was in, even if I felt I was broken, that God could still use me. And like I've been saying, that's been the central theme through the whole book, that even though you are broken, you still have some use, that you can be used, that you still have some value. I just love this book. Anybody who's dealing with anything and just believe that they no longer have any value based on a temporary circumstance, because most things in our life are temporary circumstances. Their homelessness was a temporary circumstance. Him being in jail was a temporary circumstance. And you see the growth of this rapper from book 1 to book 2. You also see his anger get him in trouble, being mad in book 2, being mad at his wife. They're taking a much needed vacation in Vegas, and he go and gamble everything that they have. He goes and gambles it away simply because he was upset and hurt by something that his wife said. Women, we got to be careful what we say, because we don't know what it's going to trigger. And it triggered his downfall. Once again, losing every single thing. Every single thing. He lost it. This is the second time in his life that he lost everything. And then this time, to a degree, he lost his wife, because his wife said to him, basically, until you get yourself together, until you get to a place where you are truly walking with God, God is telling me to leave you. And she left him. She left him. He went to a place where he grew up, where he wasn't the rap star, where he wasn't popular, where he wasn't famous. He was just who he was, because he grew up in this town. He went back to his aunt and his uncle's house, who were in their 80s. And that is where he met God all over again. I can't get to the other two books. I don't know, maybe because right here we have those that are on. We have those that may come back and watch, and they really need to know that right here, when when he went back to his uncle's and when he went back to his uncle and aunt's house, where he grew up, where he could be him, that's the place that God could meet him. When he got to a place to realize that he couldn't do it on his own, he couldn't do it by himself, that he needed help, and he really began to cry out to God. I'm telling you, when you read this book, sometimes we're gonna see ourselves, even if it's just a little bit. We're gonna see what God is saying to us throughout these whole 2 books. They were awesome. Bear, that's what they called him, where he could be Bear. When he knocked on the door, he had to say that so his uncle would open up the door and let him in. Because when he said his name, his uncle said, "Who?" He said, Bear. And they opened up the door and they let him in. A God-fearing house. You know, God can talk to you when the ground is already consecrated to hear him. And I normally don't preach on the book club meeting, but tonight y'all got me. Y'all got to preach it tonight. I'm trying not to go there. I'm telling you, this book affected me just like that. He stayed in a home where they were God-fearing, and he told them he was going to church with them, and his aunt had to laugh. His aunt had to laugh because Bear didn't like to go to church when he was living there, when he was young. But in the revival, God began to speak to him. I tell you, sometimes we got to get to a revival to get revived. Sometimes we need to hear a particular word that's going to take us to the next level of glory, to the next dimension in him. Sometimes we need to hear that word that's going to heal our hearts and heal our minds so that we can hear him with more clarity and more accuracy. I'm telling you, as you read this book, God is really going to deal with you. And I keep reiterating, and I'm going to keep saying, just because you are broken does not mean you don't have any use. Just because you are broken doesn't mean that you don't have value. Just because you are broken doesn't mean that you need to be tossed away. Just because you are broken doesn't mean that God can't speak to you, that God can't bring you from one place to another. Just because you are broken does not mean that God has forgotten about you. Just because you are broken, you have value. You have value. Even in your brokenness, God says you have value. I'm just going to preach tonight. I don't know if we're going to get to the other books, but since I have your attention, I need to let you know God loves you just that much. Just because you are broken doesn't mean that he can't give you an assignment. Just because you are broken doesn't mean that when you cry out, he does not hear you, because he does. That's the best time. I'm telling you, that's when God has his ear inclined unto you. Don't worry about being broken. God can fix what is broken. He is a great fixer. He's a great redeemer. He's the lover of your soul. I don't know if I'm going to get to the other books, but I know it's somebody on here that needs to know that broken crayons do color. They do color. The resurrection looks like his love. That's what it looks like. The resurrection looks like healing. That's what it looks like. The resurrection looks like power and the glory of God. That's what it looks like. And that's different to everybody. That's different to everybody. I encourage you to go get the books by David Weaver, Broken Crayons, Still Color, Book 1 and Book 2. God is going to speak to your heart. The author is going to speak to your heart. I tell you, when you read his story, you'll understand why he writes the way that he writes. When you read about his struggle with alcoholism and other drug addictions and how God brought him out and how God... Wait, listen. And he was saying, as he was writing these books, he was right in the midst of alcoholism. That's where the title comes from. Just because you're broken don't mean that God can't use you. And in his alcoholism, as God is constantly healing him, he wrote 2 books. And I'm telling you, if you read them, they will speak to you. This young man suffered a lot of loss over and over. And even at the end, he lost that aunt that opened the door, that had him come, that where he went to visit. He lost that aunt, went to the revival, came back home, and heard his uncle scream out because his wife was dying in the bed just suddenly. So still great loss, broken. Still great loss, broken. He sent his wife to the house to come and encourage him. The Lord sent her back, and we begin to see this progression of moving forward. Broken crayon, still colored. She was broken, but she still colored. She colored through her encouragement. She colored through her support. I'm telling you, I encourage you to read Broken Crayons. Do color. I don't think I'm going to get to the other two books, and it's okay. I'm going to throw them in there between February and March. I'm not going to stay on the line much longer. I'm close to my hour that I always said. I'm not going to go over an hour, but I thank you for joining the Virtuous Divas. That's okay. The Virtuous Divas, they telling me it's only been 35 minutes. That's okay. I think I've said enough in 35 minutes. I've said more in these 35 minutes than I have said in the past in an hour.
Hey, you boo.
Minister Michelle, men will understand how and why they have gone through. Women will know that prayer for yourself is needed. I saw God's love throughout this book. Yes, his love was throughout this whole book. We have to read. He was mentioned because they would pray. The bottom line is the couple got back together. They didn't go any further than that. When you turn the next page, you begin to read the story of the author. This book will bring about healing if you read it. This book it'll let you know if you being a real man or a real woman. It was two awesome books. Broken Crayons, Still Color, by David Weaver. Minister Nichelle Hines, I thank you for being a co-host on here. I thank all of you for getting on and joining me with the Virtuous Divas January book club. The topic covered, yes, it did. The book is gonna cover a whole lot when you read it. I'm gonna say it again. Broken Crayons, Still Color by David Weaver. Book 1, part 1 and part 2. Book 1 and book 2. Right, Minister Nichelle, God never left them. He stayed with them. Even when it didn't look like he was present, he stayed with them. It's a very good inspirational book. I pray when you read it that you will enjoy it. Once again, I thank you for joining us on this Friday night. Anybody who get on after this is going to be late, and that's their fault. They missed it. But thank you for joining me. Broken Crayon, Still Color. If you a broken crayon, you can still color. I say be every color you want to be in the rainbow. Allow God to heal you, and then let God use you. God bless you. I thank you for joining me. I see you on next month. I don't even know what we read next month, but I will put it on the Apostle Tina Pearl page. You will be able to know what date and what book we'll be reading and discussing. And once again, I'm going to throw in there The Last Madam and Little Fires Everywhere. We're going to finally get to them two books. So if you haven't read them, read them too. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And then, yeah, that it was good. It's a good book. Read that too. And the other one is The Last Madam by Chris Wiltz, Wiltz. Read those two other books. We'll be discussing them along with the next two for the month of February. God bless you, Kevin. God bless you, Daryl. God bless you, Joanna. God bless you, Cynthia. I'll see y'all next month.
What about me? Bless me.
God. Okay, my sister said bless her. God bless you, Carmen. Carr Williams, and God bless you, Rita. Rita's over there. She's watching by proxy.
Valenzuela.
She say Valenzuela. All right.
That's her name, Rita Valenzuela.
Rita Valenzuela. Okay, there we go. I said it without speaking in tongues. Right. Thank you. God bless you. Be encouraged. See you next month.